distant drums, they pierce the sky. In our hearts, brave and bold, freedom's fire will uphold. Children's laughter, lost in fear, parents' cries you'll never hear. We are fighting for their tears, uniting hearts throughout the years. We stand our ground, we won't give in to injustices soaked in sin. Raise your voice for liberty, don't tread on me, don't tread on me.
The world shattered. It wasn't a gunshot or an explosion, it was the silence after the knock. A knock on the door. Men in suits, they took them. My wife, my children, gone. They called it protection, said they were helping. Lies, all lies. The government ripped my family from my arms, they were gone, swallowed by a system that claims to care. Emptiness consumed me. Rage followed. The system I trusted betrayed me. They took everything. Now I have nothing left to lose. This is my story, shared with you through this podcast. From the ashes of despair, a new mission ignited. I would become the guardian they never had, the protector of families facing this insidious threat, the CPS Punisher. Like the demon that took my family, I embraced a skull, a symbol of warning, a beacon to those who would prey on the innocent. They will know fear. This is personal. It's a fight for every parent, every child facing this nightmare. We will expose the truth. We will fight back. Knowledge is our weapon. They thrive on ignorance, on fear. We will arm ourselves with information. Learn the signs, understand your rights. Never let them take your children. Avoid any interaction with CPS. Don't speak without a lawyer. Document everything. Their power lies in silence and fear. We will break that silence. This information can be the difference between keeping your family safe and losing them forever. Spread the word. Share this knowledge. Protect yourselves. This is a call to arms. We need your voice, your strength, your courage. Join the movement. Share your stories. Expose the truth about CPS. Together we will be a force they cannot ignore. We will fight for reform. We will demand accountability. We will protect our children. This isn't just about me, it's about us. It's about the future of our families. Join the fight. Our children are counting.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
AbolishCPUFist.com is leading the way. Join us.
All right, everybody. CPS Victims Hunting Justice. This is Thursday night, and I am the CPS Punisher. As always, we have the chat room right here to the right of me, which I'll put up here just momentarily. We've got, and I'm Gunner tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, news to us. I am Gunner. Actually, I'm not Gunner, so we're going to change that right away, because I would hate Gunner to be upset with me saying that I am him, and I am not, as though I don't think he would mind. But just in case he does, let's make me not Gunner. Sure, guys, we got a lot of news today for you guys, so get your popcorn, get your stuff together. This is going to be a good one. Get some notes. Well, you don't really need to take notes because we're not this is the digital era, so you'll be able to re-look at this stuff up, and you can look at, so just listen for this episode. Just listen and take in the information, and we'll go from there. So that being said, let me get my boy out here, Mr. G-Man Gunner.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Who are we going to piss off today with some knowledge and information and truth?
Yes.
The
Truth, justice, and
peel
America.
that onion.
Yeah, let's get the onion on the peeling. Let's get the peeling out. All right, here he is, my man, Dr. Death. He's ready to come on today for this show here. Dr. Death, you're in the house. He wants to join us, Gunner. So let's get him out here. I'll put the link in, Dr. Death, and you can go ahead and join us. Let me see here. All right, this is for Dr. Death to grab onto right here. Dr. Death. He's here. Yes, he is. Dr. Death. All right, let me get your invite link here. I'm having such a hard time with this copy. Okay.
Yeah, they're trying real hard to really make us quiet. We are making way too much noise, guys. Even though it says, yeah, I mean, they don't like this. We're getting shared upon shared just to mask our true signal. People are taking and sharing our podcasts with Gunning for CPS, and this show, sharing this and sharing it over here, and then somebody that's watching it there is sending it over here. And so all this networking is going on. Great job, guys. Keep up the great work, because that's how this thing works. Is bringing out and showing exposure, showing what's going on. Actually, I had popped into, I think it was towards the end of Brenda's show, and I was talking to somebody that was actually the judge had ordered for the kids to be returned after they had met the criteria, and they warned the foster parents and CPS not to go forward with any other bullshit, and sure enough they did, never returned the kids. And they're freaking out because now they're stuck in this other court. It's like, go back to the original judge that still has jurisdiction, because until that order is fulfilled, no other case can be opened on this.
Right.
Like, wait, what? I go, yeah. I said, think of how well that judge is going to take that they did exactly what they told them not to do in the court order, violating the children and kidnapping them and trafficking them, which is now you have clear evidence that you can call them out on it. Judge, they're trying to traffic our kids. Your order was never fulfilled. We were never returned our kids. They did what exactly you told them not to do. How quick that judge will clear his schedule and turn around and
wipe it right off.
The sheriff, go find these motherfuckers now.
Yep.
That's the end. That's when the
Or,
judge,
or it's the beginning, of the triumph dance, right?
The beginning.
Well, we got Dr. Death is in here with us. Let's get him out here.
Come on.
He tried to, he's the one we spoke to on Tiffin the Punisher. So we got him flipped back here, and he's here with us. Dr. Death, that's you? He sounds good.
You got to turn your mic on. It may be muted there. Well, we'll continue on, and hopefully you can join us.
Yeah, hopefully you bust in on our conversation with us. Dr. D, try to get a look at that microphone down in the bottom left. Click on that. Make sure you select the right microphone.
He's gonna guess. Uh-oh, there's Mama.
Oh, Miss Sharon's popping in too. Look at that. Hell yeah. Is she going to be joining us as well, or is she just sitting in the background?
I don't know. If Derek says you join her, or you go into the background. You still got some running around to do a little bit.
No, what do you want me to?
All right. Well, I guess she's coming on too.
All right. I didn't mean to step on your toes there. Hopefully
I don't need these. But you're gonna have to. You will have to take and listen to my fan go, because, you know, unlike some of you out there that I do understand it's still cold, here in this part of the country, we're already dealing with 70-degree plus weather. It's nice. So we have 3 seasons. 4 occasionally. Well, the one. The what? Might be in the back room.
Yes, Dr. D, we see you there. You're actually on the screen, Dr. Death. If you, I don't know why you're not talking.
We can't hear you. You got to turn your mic on and off on your side of your phone. You got to select which one from what you're using. If you're using your cell phone, then you got to make sure that it'll allow it to use your mic and your stuff, because you got to have all those wonderful permissions. And if you have a computer there, you just got to make sure sometimes you have to adjust which has to go if you have
right.
Hey, with your water.
With my water.
Oh, look at you drinking some milk.
No,
just water.
Water.
Oh, water. Okay.
I'm trying to get my water in today. I'm behind.
Oh, you have to double back on the missing consumption.
Yeah.
Hydration, very important for your health.
Yeah.
And your mental health.
Yep.
And make sure that you add just a pinch of a Celtic salt or a mineral salt in there, because your body does need that stuff. They actually took it out with a new study on that for people with heart issues and stuff like that, that they actually take and they recommend more salt, but not NaCl, which is table salt. They're talking about mineral. Why? What's the first thing they give you? They give you a bag, right? What's it got in it? Salt and water. There we go. Dr. Death, go ahead. Come on.
All right. You're in.
Hello.
There
we
he
go.
is.
Now I can hear you.
Dr. Death. Can you speak a little bit now? Oh, come on. We had you.
Hello.
There you are.
Hello.
There's Dr. Death. Dr. Death, do you hear us?
Okay. I'm here.
All right. You hear us? Do you hear us, Dr.
I had to
Death?
do some figuring out on my end. Yes, I can. What do you want me to talk about?
Good. All right. That's good. That's really good.
Tell us a little bit more about like what's going on that you were discussing in parks. Like what's your experience?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, good. So, like Gunnar said, go ahead and tell us your story a little bit. What's going on? Hello, Timmo.
So, he's still working on. So, what's your opinion of this stuff with Colorado? Then forcing all the parents, if they misgender their children, that CPS is going to come in and take them.
Well, started back in June of last year.
Okay.
My girls went to school, took them to school, told them that they got into it like they were pinching each other, putting marks on each other. And I left them at school, went back home, went and picked them up, came back home.
All right.
We
got school.
Yeah, we got school. I don't know if he's got another device on, but it's got some of the echo sometimes every once in a while at the same time. If he's using the same device to have multiple tabs up, you have to close your YouTube tab before you can get in here because it'll want to switch back.
I can't hear Gunner now.
Right.
There we go. We can hear him now.
Get back home, pick the girls up, came back home. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Because I can't hear you.
So go ahead, Dr. Death.
Just 1 second. There we go. Okay, I can hear you guys now.
All right. Whatever you're doing, don't change anything.
Don't move.
Right. Hold on to that piece, whatever you hold on to.
Well, I'll get home and this investigator shows up, and I told him straight up, not without a warrant.
Huh.
Okay. Well, I kept arguing.
Ooh. Okay, I think we're going to have to cover this one up to technical difficulties because we're just not getting anything from you there, Doctor. I don't know what's going on. There's some issues on your side.
He kept arguing with me about it, and I kept saying no. Now you can't see my kids without a warrant.
Come on back, Dr. Death. Yeah, Dr. Death, I think we might have to work on some technicals here. Maybe we'll head on back to the green room here and let's see if we can't knock this off. But Gunner will hold up the fort here, and I'll meet you back in the green room. How's that? And we can see if we could get these things handled.
All good.
All right. Dr. Death, why don't you head on back? Well, I'll take us back there. Let's see if we can get on this, get this worked out while Gunner holds the fort down for a minute.
Well, let's do one here real quick. Let's see. We'll just do a quick thing here, and let's just check some of this out. Let's have a little bit of a conversation, but let's get a chance to watch this video real quick. Let me share this with you guys and find the right one. That's the one. Yep, that's the one. And here we go.
You're telling me that back in the day when a mom and dad would split up, they would only give the dad every other weekend? Yeah. And people in those societies just accepted that as normal? Uh-huh. But every other weekend is only like 20% of the year. Right. I mean, that also means that by the time the kid is 10, they've effectively lost 8 entire years with their dad. I mean, yeah, that's true. Didn't they know the damage of fatherlessness? Oh yeah, they had access to that information since like the 80s. They knew that kids raised without fathers were about 4 times more likely to experience anxiety and depression, drop out of school, end up in jail, end up addicted to drugs, so much more. But they still kept the every other weekend standard even into 2025? Yeah. Why? Yeah, people just kind of thought that kids needed their moms more. But weren't moms also working at that time? Oh yeah, by 2024, 50 to 70% of married women were earning as much or more than their husbands, and they were securing the majority of all college degrees. Oh yeah, there was another study that came out that showed that women who actually share custody 50-50 were 300% more likely to earn six figures. So you're telling me that during one of the most allegedly feminist times of history, women were still fighting for majority custody, which would directly impede their ability to grow and thrive as individuals and reprioritize their entire identity into being a homemaker, which was the exact thing they were originally fighting against? Yeah, basically. It was a really dark time for families. Damn. Wait, so you're telling...
Wow. If that doesn't say something, they know it causes damage, but yet they do it. They know that doing what they do with your family is going to cause irreparable damage, but they still keep doing what they're doing. Constantly, one after another, only to do what? To get a paycheck because they have a college education, because they're afraid to get their hands dirty, because most of these people that you see doing this, let me just put it to you real simple, will really struggle with a shovel. And there's the problem. It's where they try to find, to fit in with the family. Now, you go back on to these other degrees and stuff like that some states that are actually coming out, hey, you got a degree in women's studies or transgender studies or this or that. Guess what? We need social workers. Oh, yeah. You have a college degree, right? It's in a social program, right?
Well, where else are they going to put them?
Well, you could be a huge benefit to our program if you've got all this knowledge and stuff you could bring to this. But what's the first thing that we notice when they start removing kids and putting them in other places? This is the other thing we found out. It's cultural degentrification. They literally put your kids with just the opposite. Don't go to church. Don't do this. Don't do that. Guess where your kids end up? That's right. In somebody that goes to a religious institution. Or if your state's the opposite, you believe a certain way of this, that, you may not go to church or you may have this, but you have a belief in that. Guess what? They're going to put them in just the opposite of the home of people that don't have children because they can't have children because it's impossible for them to reproduce. And we're not talking about the rare occasions of the woman is infertile. It's stealing children and reprogramming them to feel things more acceptable in society. This is against the Constitution. Every single bit of this. The First Amendment prevents this 100%. And back in the Tiff and Punisher show, we were dealing with, sharing, the fact that we were going under certain case law. And somebody had asked about this case law. And this is one of the ones I think I just recently shared with you. And we were talking about it on the show, that the Supremacy Clause, basically saying the Constitution, and it's saying Article 6, Clause 2, and this is what they're talking about, the Supremacy Clause within the Constitution, and it's found in every single one of your states, that the U.S. Constitution is the ultimate law of the land, and they must abide by it. Howlett versus Rose, 496 U.S. 356 in 1990 reaffirmed the same thing, more current case law. It was established that the Supremacy Clause, Article 6, Clause 2, forbids state courts to disassociate themselves from federal law, which is all the federal codes and everything else they must do. Those are federal laws, and yes, they must abide by them because of a disagreement with its content or refusal to recognize the superior authority of its source. See Mondu versus New York and New Hampshire versus HR Company 223 US 1,57. What that's saying is right now what you're seeing happening in Maine and what you're seeing happening in Colorado for them passing these bills and doing the things that they will not comply. It specifically says in this federal case law, you don't have a choice. It forbids the states from doing what they're doing now. What they're doing is committing an act of treason and sedition, telling the federal government and the Constitution, under the Constitution and the powers of the Constitution, we will not do this. This is not going to go good for them. This is pure out rebellion against the Constitution. These are states that are using their taxpayers' money, the people you've elected and appointed, and or the elected and appointed actors and officials, all these people that have been in these places that are using your money in your state, in your land, and your children to go forward with their propaganda, because it's not what the whole state believes. And they're going to take and spend, they're going to spend that money, even if it means, some states, they own your land. They will literally sell your land off to another company or another country. There's even talks that Maine is selling off a lot of it to China. Oh yeah, imagine China owning all the land in Maine. Interesting. Buying it up. Do you see the connection? They don't want to talk about this. This isn't about Maine doing this and that. This is about some of the stuff that they're getting money in their pockets, and they're lining their pockets by selling off the land that they have. Do you know how much poison's coming up out of the ground and bacteria from the stuff that they have up there that they don't want to tell you about, that people that are encountering that they're covering up medically in that state? Oh, there's a whole shitload. Of course they want to get those kids out of there. Oh, well, they're safe. You have a toxic environment. There's people that can't even walk through their yard without getting a bacteria or something because of it's coming through the plants, because it's in the water. So now the plants do what? What do the plants do, honey? Die. No, they suck the water from the roots, and it goes through the plant, and then the plant takes on the properties of the water, and it sheds, if you will.
If the plant survives.
If the plant survives, exactly. But a lot of this is what's happening, and the stuff that's growing up out of the ground. All of that poison is coming out, and people that are walking around and living in this stuff, and they have tons of health problems. This is happening in other places across the country. Oh, yeah. They don't want this to get out of all these experiments and all the other. This is what they're talking about, pulling back the curtain with everything, and basically just turning around and pulling back the curtain and saying, this is all the corruption. This is all the stuff that's going on. Wake up, America. And they're slowly doing it. I mean, but now you've got the psychological shock of it.
Sometimes it feels like we're just one big country of guinea pigs.
And basically we are, according to the Food and Drug Administration. That's basically what we were told we are. They get to use whatever they want on us till we determine it's sick. Well, how do you do that when you can't go to a court or anything else, so they'll admit to it? But now the research comes out on what? Red dye 40.
Oh, that's terrible stuff for you.
All that stuff.
Any food dyes, avoid food dyes just in general.
And then RFK gets up there and going to all these big companies like McDonald's and the rest of them going, what the fuck? You're doing the healthy shit in other countries and you're poisoning us. What the hell is your problem? It's not like you can't make this product safe.
Mm-hmm. The FDA does the exact opposite of what I want to say EPA in Europe, but I could have that wrong, actually. Whoever does it in Europe.
European Food Exchange or something like that. Yeah.
Opposite.
Yeah, they say you have to prove everything's safe before you even put it in the food. That's what the European Union part. There's a name, an acronym for all that. I don't remember what it is. Too many acronyms.
Yeah.
Alphabet soup. Again, yes, Europe has it too.
Yeah,
alphabet agencies and alphabet soups. But a lot of that comes down to is what are people going to do as this is progressing? And it's like just waiting for a ticking time bomb before this all goes off. And like it's pushing and pushing, and people are pushing back. And people are out here watching that believe in this whole thing of it's this party system against this party system. And that's not what it is.
All the snacks have oil products in them. Yes,
yeah.
They do. Actually, it kind of goes back to, well, I think the start of it being really prevalent that things were processed more was kind of in the 40s with World War II and everything that went on during that time. And women started working more and they were out of the home. They weren't home to cook.
The experimentation they did with food. Look into the dairy farmer incident that they have a whole cave full of cheese that the government had to buy because of all of that.
But because you had both parents leaving the house, you had to simplify food because nobody was there. I mean, like, I don't know how many of you all cook at home, but it takes a lot of time to cook at home. It takes a lot of time and energy and planning and everything else. And it's definitely much easier just to go to the grocery store and grab a pre-made meal or go through a drive-through. But I think that's kind of where
with both parents working, especially towards the end of the baby boom that caused all that, and then inflation, of course, that we don't take in control. The Fed controls, which is bullshit because I've never seen things. Everybody laughs at me when they say, well, how much was gas back when, when you were first driving and everything else? I mean, you were in California. So what were you paying like at 16? What was gas about?
When I left California, we were over $4.
No, I meant like when you were 15, 16, first starting to drive. When most people would start to drive. What was Dad putting it in the tank for? Two something. And that was what year?
I don't remember. That was
90s.
Sure.
80s.
Date me, man.
No, I'm gonna do one better. I'm gonna date me.
I remember being a kid and my grandpa having an absolute fit over gas going up 2 cents, and it was $1.29. And he had, I think I was like 10 years old, so that would have been in the 90s. And he had an absolute fit because gas went up 2 cents.
We grew up, and that's where we lost the passion of driving and the relationship with our vehicles, other than this and that to transport us to work. We used to love that, but you got to understand, we used to put gas in with change because, believe it or not, back when in my day, gas,
older,
gas, believe it or not, was 67 cents a gallon that I can remember.
Holy cow. Yeah, I don't remember that far
back.
And
I remember when it broke $1, how everybody had a damn fit because it broke $1 and everything went, and it just went crazy with the gas prices. And we watched it deteriorate because we didn't want to get out no more. It was like forcing us into our homes. And we used to love to drive and explore. And that's when things like camping and family activities were just huge. I mean, everybody could kind of, hey, we went camping, or we went to the campground, or we went fishing, or there's a lot of families did a lot of that stuff because it was cheap and it was inexpensive and you got out in nature. But at the same time, you always had some fucked up family stories to turn around and tell about when you went camping and everything. So
great adventures.
Yeah, they were interesting once again, and several people you mark along the way. And now the campgrounds have completely changed. And there's certain things you got to look out for and this and that within certain communities too. But it depends on the campground. Once again, that's just being active, being real, and being honest with you guys. Like I said, with all this, there are things out there you got to keep on your heels and toes to know that you're not the only one out in public and in this world, and you don't know what they believe or how they express themselves or anything else. That's the point. If you're out in public, we're all supposed to get along and be decent to each other. There's the whole point. You're in public, and just act accordingly. And of course, you're going to get your feelings hurt and the whole 9 yards, this and that. But at the same time, that's if you let it. If you never let somebody take and offend you, and once again, that goes back to the whole thing of what I've always said, too, is the fact that I'm not responsible for making her happy. She is. I'm responsible for my own happiness. Yeah. I mean, that we can benefit and help, but ultimately, for me to be happy to do that causes codependency.
Yeah, I don't think we have that problem.
No, so, but like I said, there's all of that out there that people don't understand because they haven't seen a healthy environment. They haven't been this. A lot of people are like, oh, I come through this, or I went through this and that. I mean, and it happens, and CPS takes advantage of this. And yes, a lot of plants do die, but there are people that are in these areas in Maine that they do have vegetation or plants there, greenage there, and it's coming through the soil into the plants, actually through the pollen. And it's causing nasty rashes and all sorts of other stuff. It's just really messed up with some of the stuff there. And nobody has been doing anything. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in a lot of our states that I think we're not aware of. Maine being so recluse, there is a possibility of some toxic waste dumping being in the middle of nowhere where nobody thought they would go. There's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about.
I don't know. Fun fact, hemp actually detoxifies the soil when
Yeah.
you grow it.
So, and there's a lot of people in Maine too that are planting a lot of hemp plants too, or anything else. Now, guys, I wouldn't plant it in bad soil and catch something because it can
No, you
go
don't.
in that. No, don't
You
do that.
Use it if it's
Yeah.
used for cleaning the soil. That's not.
Well, and a lot of us, so that's the whole point of, we don't really do politics either. Our thing is just the absolute of going back to the Constitution. Let's be decent to each other when we're in public. Let's work together as a community or environment to what? We all need food. We all need this. We all need that. And we can go back to, if we cut out a lot of these things that they don't want to let you know about, farm shares and a lot of these other things, why are you paying, the middleman when you can deal directly now with the modern technology of go right to the farmer and you get it whole, where it comes from, the whole 9 yards. They don't want to tell you about that. Why? Because then they wouldn't have to meet a USDA standard. Why? It's a farm share. You technically own the animals.
Yeah, and a farm share
Yeah.
is you have part of the ownership with the animals or whatever else you're partnering with.
And that's why that guy in Pennsylvania got popped, because he was selling raw milk and he didn't have the USDA stamp, but he didn't have a proper farm share set up.
Yeah.
And that's why they busted everything on that. That pissed him off, but at the same time, that was part of the Mennonite community. And that's where the argument came up. We're not agreeing with one side, this or that. We're just saying that was kind of messed up, but yeah, he probably should have done it the right way. But once again, it's the state hiding stuff or this hiding stuff and not giving you the whole story.
I tell everybody, make friends with farmers, man.
Yeah.
They'll be your best friends.
Absolutely. Well, Darren, I think you're back there. Are you back there? You gonna come back out? We're holding on to the show. I'm gonna pull you out if you don't.
I have no idea what you meant to
There he
talk
is.
about tonight. All over the place.
Get in touch with Dr. Death, but I'm back here. It doesn't seem like we're lagging. It seems like things are going pretty good.
He's back in the audience, I think, talking here.
All right. Yeah, we'll try again some other day this week, Dr. Death. Try to get you in here. Maybe we could do like a half hour pre whatever. But yeah, for now, it's just you and I, Gunner. So here we are. Doing what we do best.
Let's talk about this thing I think we were talking about before on this medical kidnapping of this Mennonite family down in Texas. The way the story went is that the kid was getting over measles, which the hospital and everything else and the doctors, everybody attending, so focused on medical maltreatment that they turned him into CPS, got control of him finally. But the child already was on the backside of meningitis. I believe it was pneumonia was the issue with the child. And they waited over 10 hours. This is after the fact. This is not something, this is the investigation part of what they did. It's basically medical malpractice, 100%. They focused on immunization. In other words, their belief system, instead of treating the patient for what was actually going on, and they killed that child, and that child died away from their parents because CPS came in, claimed medical neglect, and their child died alone in a bed with nobody there, gasping for their lives because the hospital was more worried about it and the attendings, how their child was not immunized because they were Mennonite. They didn't believe in that, and they were so focused on that, they forgot to treat the child, and the child died. And then they tried to cover it up. Now this investigation's come out to show that's not the case. Imagine the parents that have to go through that because they wouldn't respect their constitutional rights of, no, I don't want to be immunized, or we don't believe in that. That's how they attack them on to kill that baby, to make their political point of, we need immunization. That's fucking disgusting. But what are your thoughts on the story, Darren? I mean, how would you feel if your parents, if you had this religious belief, you were in an outside community, this and that, and basically tell you you're medical neglect. You can't have nothing to do with your kid's just dying and nobody's treating them. And all you're doing is getting a lashing on immunizations. I mean,
well, first of all, I mean, what the hell? Why are they coming at you with this first before they're taking care of the kids themselves? Like, what? Don't worry about this other shit. To attend to the kids first. Let's find out what the hell is going on. You know, don't you? I mean, why would the abuse and neglect thing even be a thing in terms? Let's figure out what's wrong with this kid. I mean, this is a problem with all this stuff. Since they're so ass backwards on everything, the kid is the most common central point. That's the most important. So let's focus on what their needs are and then expand out to the external needs of what's going on, what's happening, and blah, 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 blah. None of this go into a middle of investigation. Oh, it's the dad's fault. It's just they're causing way too much stress for way too little of a situation sometimes, or way too much stress for not a situation at all. Like, they're just not doing anything right, period whatsoever. Like, nothing is being done right.
It's all about control.
Well,
especially in the medical stuff.
You know what this reminds me of, that old saying?
Mm-hmm.
Don't go off half-cocked.
Right. Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening with as little as this and that, a freak out going off half-cocked.
Right. Yeah.
Vaccinations is such a hot button topic for everybody.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that.
Uses it against parents all the time.
Yet RFK is standing up there and talking about going after what's causing autism, and where's he at? Immunizations.
Yeah.
Telling them to quit lying to people, and this is what's causing this, and this is what's causing ADHD, and this is what's causing this. Stop lying to us and covering your fucking tracks because you don't want to have your shit sued. That's exactly what it is. Cover thine own ass. You done fucked up. Be held accountable.
Well, if you think about it, vaccines and allopathic medicine has only been around for what, 200, 300 years?
A little bit over 200 years. Homeopathic, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It's all
petroleum-based
They call it
medicine.
medicine for a reason because they don't actually know what they're doing.
Yeah, I always love that when some of them they come up. Well, I'm an attorney and this and that. I said, okay, well, you practice law, right? Yeah. You go to the doctor and say, hey, you're a doctor, right? Yeah. You practice medicine, right? Turn around and says, isn't it funny? I said, do you ever get to the point you get a master's, like you've mastered it? And they're just like, no. I says, funny, I hold a couple of those. You just keep practicing. You'll never listen. You'll never master medicine, and you'll never master being an attorney. You'll always practice. You'll never have mastered because of what? Human error.
Huh. That's interesting.
Because you're dealing with a human psyche with one, and you're dealing with the human body with the other. And no two are alike, and it's so unpredictable, you'll never master it because nobody's ever seen anything as well as how our body adapts from generation to generation. There's always going to be a first. Because that's the way science is.
Wow.
Which is why
I never even knew that. I never thought of that. I never even, you know what I mean? Like, I never even looked at it in that aspect of.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they wanted to use the words, and believe it or not, the people in the trades says abso-fucking-lutely not, because you'll never master the human body, nor will you ever master the human psyche. You can track it, but it's never the same because it's ever evolving and ongoing, the same way as the human body.
There's too many variables, and everybody is too different.
Yeah.
You can find correlations and patterns, but never ever be exactly the same.
Nope. And everything within it, it just masters based off of what it has. You've mastered something because you have so much experience in it, and it's not going to change. There is no change. Or, as in the electrical field, it's constantly changing. And he says, but we're just keeping up with modern products and this and that of those things. We've not had a real massive change in electricity in quite a few years, which is why our infrastructure, it's really sweating, and we really need to be addressing that probably really soon in this nation. Bad.
Right.
Bad. We are the originators. This country originated being able to take electricity and transfer it from one place to another and bill you for it. We are the first in the nation, first in the world to do that particular type of thing. That's what that was founded here. That's why we have the oldest infrastructure.
Really, that's it, huh? That's the.
We were the first, Thomas Edison and all those other things with all the light bulbs.
Well, no, that depends on if you go back to the Egypt days and you go back to them, talking that stuff. Because I forget, just one other time, did we research this, the oldest infrastructure?
Yeah, we went through some, like I said, those have gone back through the, the Tartarians and some of the other things, how it was pulling it from this and Tesla's theory and this and that. It's just saying this one method of using from this to this, using it from point A to point B, this particular method, it's really kind of a shitty method because if everything's cellular and there's electricity in the air, which Tesla said, it proves that with the Tesla coil of hitting those certain things or electricity, a certain thing, you actually see the flash if you put it at a certain frequency or hertz. But then we don't want to talk about frequency and hertz and educate too many people on that because then you get into the human body, which actually has a certain frequency and hertz and everything. Dear God, let's not talk about that. That's too much education. You'll heal yourself or something,
Everything is frequency.
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
So it's on how far you want to go and turn around and learn and to do a lot of things. And I find it kind of ironic that Nikola, that the Tesla company uses these batteries that is so non-Tesla. It's almost ironic, you know what I'm saying? Because he was all talk of how what it was in the air and to use this. He predicted cell phones. He predicted this. I mean, there's all sorts. He knew what this technology would mean.
But wasn't the reason they went with Edison design because that was the one that can market?
No, it come down to between Nikola. What was it?
Well, Tesla was working for one company, and Edison was
Working for another company. So maybe going to the patent office is what was the rule with that. And it was who got there first. And guess who got there first? That's why you hear everything about the Edison company and not the Tesla company. Because guess who got to the patent office first? That's who gets the legal rights to.
Hey, who makes it to court first wins. Whoever gets to the courtroom first gets the winner. Like they get the worm eats the early bird eats the worm, right? That's what they say.
It's like first one to the. It's a finish line with, and believe it or not, that still happens today. That people watch patents, especially within medicine, petroleum-based medicine. This is how you get generics, because if they have a small window, then and they don't originate or pay that big fee for renewing their patent, then nobody else can do it. And you'll say, oh well, they won't let it go. It won't go to generic. That's because the original company, like Pfizer or some of the others, are holding the patent. They're paying it on time or early. They've got somebody down there paying it in things so they don't lose it. Because somebody else behind them will come in and will add one little ingredient and it's something different. Well, you can't do that without patent right infringement, and there has to be a void. So once they do the void, that's how you get all your generic drugs and all your generic things, and you get all your spinoffs of like a lot of other things that are patented once out there. I mean, everything basically should have a patent. Yeah. And then you make one little change. Hey, this is something to better or this or that. Well, you have to sell it as an add-on part. You can't sell the whole unit.
Whoa, but what if we patent our children?
Oh, you could, I guess. Fill out a patent. You patent them. Part A plus part B of this and that. Hey, there's a great concept.
Right? Like all you can do to you have to change it by 10%, right? Like it's something mostly.
Well, then you look at the loop
patent our children, and then nobody could ever mess with them.
Well, then it comes the same thing. Here's the other thing: you don't get to the patent office on time to do your renewal fee.
Well, no, because you have the ownership of the birth certificate. The birth certificate shows you that you are the original owner, because you're going to have to show ownership anyway. Well, they don't have that before you.
The patent has a limit, though. It doesn't have an unlimited. There's not unlimited. The only ones that are classified that are unlimited patents are those held by the United States government that are basically sealed off. You can't even really see them. It just kind of goes from here, and there. There's a lot of stuff that is patent in here and there that you can find, but it depends on what you look after and what you're looking to do. I've been down that. Yeah, that's a fascinating. Listen, that type of law is very, very unique. Patent law that takes a very special way of understanding how those work. That's a whole different realm. whole different set of rules, everything on that. I mean,
throwing our kids in there would be
yeah, you'd have to come up with like their DNA and clean their DNA chain. Because listen, that's how they got through a lot of stuff with the THC A's and B's, because C is considered cannabis, but A's and B's, it's because it's different on a chemical level. That's how they got a lot of that stuff to slide, was because they say, hey, it's molecularly different. That's how they got it to go through and saying, because you classify, they made the government classify marijuana. And it's this, and here's all the chemical changes in this. And so they say, if I change one thing or add one thing to it, then we're good, right? Or take away. You can add or take away. It could be molecular. It could be this, that, but it's how it's defined. And they went all the way back to the scientific method of how it is. That's how tedious that argument got. Define marijuana as this and that. And I followed that just because of the science behind it was crazy. The way they went through to make them prove what was this, that, and then have those arguments to do everything they've done within the hemp industry and everything else that they've done, because there was a lot of case law and a lot of patent and a lot of other things on that. And there was a lot of, it really showed you the holes within patent and within the law and everything else. Change one or two things or take away, bam. Yes, patent laws are for 10 years. I think they're different, Dr. Death, on medications. You seen that when it happened with, what was Claritin, and what was the other one? They held on to that for a long time before it went over the counter, because they just brought it straight to the people. And then they did that whole thing with you can cook meth with the shit, and then all of a sudden they took it back off the shelves and you couldn't buy it over there. Yeah, the Claritin D, because it had something in it or something that they were doing stuff. And man, for those of us that were on some of those medications, it was like, damn, it was nice to breathe. And then I was getting it real cheap over the counter. Now I gotta go back to the fucking doctor, to do this shit. And then you gotta do all the things with your licenses now. So it's all a big pain in the ass. All you want to do is like, I don't for this long. Now you want to do all this? I'm over here and especially in here, it snows in the spring. And I don't mean like snow. It's green. Because all the fucking pollen. No, I'm not kidding. You go out, your car's green. And it's green. No matter what color it was before, it's green. That's how bad it is in places. But I don't know, man. I mean, I think we're seeing people running rampant in all the states. I think people are getting hurt. I think parents are fed up. The bullshit that they're doing. These people that are 20-something years old out here stealing kids because they want a bonus, because they want a new car, or take whatever their preference of date off to. And that's if some people can even stand to date some of these people. And I say that because it's actually happening. And yes, that's true. No, not sweet tea. We actually use loose leaf tea. We don't do our stuff in a bag. We like the good shit. But no, it's not sweet tea. We don't need sugar to have good flavors in our tea.
No, we don't. We drink sweet tea.
Poison sugar. That's not real sugar.
I honestly have no idea how people down here drink.
Oh God,
sweet
it's
tea.
syrup.
It's so gross.
It's like, it's no wonder that they went to corn syrup, because as much sugar as they put in that, it's about as bad as straight corn syrup.
Enjoys it. I just
it's fine. Yeah. It's bad. But hey, there's other things that are natural sugars, such as honey. And
but I don't even usually put that in my
maple.
tea.
Well, good hot toddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into this stuff.
So, I mean, there's a lot out there, and there's so much information flowing, Darren, too, either from the White House or from the news things, and this aspect and that aspect, and other things we're not hearing about. It's just so fast right now, and it's like, I think they're kind of getting us used to moving so fast and things pulling back and all this other shit, because I think they're getting ready to rip the damn Band-Aid off and say, I've had enough. Because Colorado, now you're in Maine. I mean, what the hell is with Maine? And your governor doing what? What the hell?
Maine's a mess.
Well, water pill calls. I'm gonna leave this to you for a second.
Okay. Cool. To me and Sleepy Darren. Oh, you like sweet tea? Well, that's fine. You're allowed to like whatever you like. I grew up drinking just plain old sun tea with no sweeteners, so we prefer to do it not sweet. So I have no idea. Does anybody have any questions? We're kind of all over the place tonight. Darren, I have no idea what you want to talk about tonight.
All right. Well, I don't know. What do you? I was just sitting here reading about this patenting stuff here, but we don't need to talk about patenting. You know what? Let's talk about this stuff. Do you know about body code?
About what? Say that again.
About body code, how to read the body code.
Body code. No,
So
you'll have to elaborate.
Here, I'll show you a thing about this. This is like what they're doing. This was that training that. Whoa, no. This is the training that I had to go through to help the people with MK Ultra and the ones that have been affected by that. Let me show you something here.
I've been down a few rabbit holes, but I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
So this is what I'm trying to implement to CPS. I want to implement the trauma training from this stuff here to people that are affected by CPS. So let me show you. Let me see here. Body code.
Oh, fine.
He's going to show me something about body code. Does that sound familiar to you?
Body code?
Yeah, it's related to the MK Ultra stuff.
Here.
Something about the trauma.
Okay, sorry.
And they put so many different names and twisted the names to hide the original shit. It ain't even funny on some of it.
I don't know.
Just remember, MK Ultra also gave you famous people, as we know, as Charles Manson. That's right. Product of your own government. Charles Manson was a product of MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Hollywood Hills. Wait, what's there? The old airport where MK Ultra was. They just let them all loose. Where does all that crazy shit come from? California come from MK Ultra out there. Oh, look at that dirty look. You see that look? That's what's wrong with California. They just let them loose.
Flies. Okay, Southern California. The rest of California's fine.
Fucking Hollywood Hills, where the old Air Force Base was, and everything is built there. Oh, wait, the Playboy Mansion. Oh, wait, the Diddy place.
Listen, there's a lot of us who live there that didn't really claim Southern California.
Well, I know, but the whole thing of, it's all interconnected. Oh, where did these tunnels come from? They were there. It's an old Air Force Base. I mean, come on, let's do a little history research.
California's a big place.
Oh, I know it's a big place.
It's a very big place.
So is
you can
Alaska.
drive all day and still be in the same thing.
Oh,
God, that's like Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Or Oklahoma, if you drive it the right way, the long way. The right way, the long way.
all right. So here's a little quick. Let's see here. Let me find out.
We're not lawyers, but I guarantee you we are assholes.
Okay, that's right. That's a good one right there.
We're not lawyers, but we are definitely assholes and we aim to piss off. With truth and knowledge. So if that pisses you off, that sounds like a you problem. Hate that for you.
It's groundbreaking energy healing. Very simple, easy to do, and it's opening people's minds to the possibilities that energy healing has to offer. But the body code really takes it to the next level entirely. And of course, it also includes the emotion code. People often ask, well, what's the difference between the body code and the emotion code? Well, you're going to know by the end of this event. So what is the body code really? Well, it's an ancient idea. The most ancient idea is that imbalance is really at the root of all of our problems, mental, emotional, and physical. So the body code simply addresses imbalances that are going on in the body. That's all it does. So what I found when I was in practice, now think about this, okay? First of all, I learned that I could ask questions and get answers from my patient's subconscious minds. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But the subconscious mind of each individual is the ultimate source. Each person knows on a subconscious level why they're sick, why they aren't making enough money, why they can't find their soulmate, why they've got these symptoms. It knows. And so I learned early on how to tap into that subconscious mind. And that's what this is all about. It's all about tapping into the subconscious mind and getting the information that is in there. And this is, believe me, the absolute future of healing. So what I found during those years that I was in practice is that people had different kinds of imbalances. And because I used to be a computer programmer, I did that for a living for a while back in the early 80s, I always had a computer right there with me, and I was always trying to categorize and organize the things that I was finding on people. And so I found that there are really 6 different kinds of imbalances. So one of those is energies. Now, trapped emotions are an energy. And this energies category, what I put into that category was all the energies that were in the body that shouldn't be in the body. For example, a trapped emotion, what is it? It's a ball of emotional energy that is stuck in the body, lodged in the body, causing symptoms of various types. And there are other kinds of energies as well. So everything that I found that would fit in that category, I fit into that category. And in this new body code, there are some new things that we've discovered just in the last few years as well. Now, circuits or systems, this is another category. This has to do with the body's organization. So in other words, your body is very highly organized. It's organized into chakras, for example, the deep energy centers of the body. It's organized into systems, the cardiovascular system, nervous system, the skeletal system, the muscular system, and so on. I also found during those years, back then I would explain to people that the different organs and glands in the body had the equivalent of what you might refer to as an electrical circuit. And those organs
Interesting.
Unmute there. Go to his X. Right there. There you go.
Now we can hear you.
Now we can hear you.
No, we can't.
Now we can't now.
Where'd you go?
Can't hear you, Darren.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
There we are.
Whoa.
All right. So far, pretty much the trauma that's caused by CPS is a basis for these energy balls, for all of this stuff that's happening. You got emotions that are tied up inside of you, right?
Yeah.
That's the relevance here of what's going on. So I'm just going to play a little bit more for you to check this out, and then we'll go on from there.
Okay.
and glands would be connected to certain muscles. So, for example, when I was in practice, before I actually went into practice, when I was in the student clinic, when I was in chiropractic school, to give you an idea how this can work, there was a man that came in to see me, a patient of mine, as a student doctor, and he came in to see me, and he came in every week. And I needed a certain number of adjustments on people to be able to graduate. And so this guy became a good friend of mine. He came in every week, and he had the same problem. He had pain in the middle of his shoulder blades. And every time that he would come to see me, I would adjust him, realign his spine. His spine was always out of alignment in that area between his shoulder blades. And as soon as I would adjust him, his discomfort would be gone. He would feel so much better. But then a week later, he'd be back again, and it would all be out of alignment again. And I used to puzzle over this, and I was thinking, well, what's wrong? Is it this guy, or is it me? Am I not good enough to fix him, or is it him? I don't understand. Why can't I fix this guy? I wanted to just fix him, so he didn't have to keep coming back. But I couldn't do it. Later, what I found was that, well, it took several years really before I finally figured out what had been going on with that guy, was that he had kind of an imbalance in his liver. And that liver imbalance the liver was connected to the muscles in between the shoulder blades. And so that was imbalancing that area constantly, see. And so really what I was doing wasn't really what he really needed. He needed something done with his liver. And then that area would have aligned itself and been okay. I would have been able to fix him. The same thing applies with many other parts of the body. And this is a big understanding for me. If a patient came in to see me and they had a problem with their right knee, it was probably because their gallbladder was imbalanced in some way. If they had a problem with their left knee, it was probably because they had an imbalance in their left adrenal gland and so on. So there were all these understandings, and I started to figure out how the body has these connections going on between the organs and the glands and the muscles. So when people were coming in to see me for trouble, like, for example, low back discomfort, or maybe a herniated disc or something in the low back, after a while, when people like that would come in, I would immediately think of their kidneys, because the kidneys were almost always involved. And by correcting the kidney imbalance, I was able to then balance those muscles that were connected to the kidneys. That realigned things in the spine. And so there are some really interesting understandings that you'll get when you start using the body code that you might not have been aware of before. So those are just some of those things. Now, toxicity, of course, is another huge reason why people are unhealthy, and there's, I think, probably no place on Earth now that you can go where you won't find some kind of toxins in the air, the water, and so on. Unfortunately, but if you're toxic, you've got to get rid of those toxins. Pathogens are little infections, viral, bacterial, fungal, mold infections, parasites that get into the body and set up housekeeping. Of course, I found that as a chiropractor, I was working with the spine primarily, but as time went on, I found that really other bones could misalign as well. And in fact, other tissues could misalign as well. Other organs could misalign. Really, any tissue can misalign. That's all reflected now in this new body code. It's a fascinating thing. I remember years ago, there was a woman who came to see me when I was in practice, and she'd had a car accident. So she had whiplash. She had this really severe discomfort in her neck, and it went down into her left shoulder. And I worked with her for about a month, realigning her, giving her adjustments. And that discomfort was not going away. It was still like a 9 on a 0 to 10 scale. So I sent her next door to get an MRI scan, where they scan the spine, they scan the bones, and the scan was perfect when it came back. And I was just learning back then to ask the body, ask the subconscious mind questions and get answers. And so I started doing that because I didn't know what else to do. It was weird. It was puzzling to me. Her neck looked perfect on the MRI scan, but she had all this problem. So I started doing some testing and asking questions of her body. And what her subconscious mind gave back to me was that her heart was out of alignment. That in the accident, somehow, her heart had become misaligned a little bit. So I was able to figure out now what we would do is simply swipe a few times down the governing meridian, which we'll explain, to correct that. But at that time, I was able to make that correction, and instantaneously that discomfort that she had for 5 or 6 weeks was gone. So there are more things that are possible, more things that may be going on than what many of us have considered. Now, nutrition or lifestyle is another area where if you're not getting enough nutrients, if you are not getting enough sleep, your pH is imbalanced, there are a lot of other things that can be going on in that area as well. Now, the more imbalances that an individual has in these 6 areas, the more likely they're going to manifest some kind of symptom. Now, that symptom may be physical. It may be some kind of physical discomfort. It may be that they end up diagnosed with some kind of a disease process. Their symptoms may be emotional, or they may be mental. But the reality of it is all of the problems that we suffer from, all of the symptoms that end up getting created in our bodies are really traceable back to imbalances in these 6 areas. To give you an idea, an example, there was a woman I met once. She spoke to me at the end of a talk that I gave at a hospital in California where I was practicing. I spoke to the fibromyalgia support group. And now fibromyalgia is this problem that people get where they have discomfort in the muscles all over the body. and there's no known cure, no known cause, and so they just have to take medications and so on. It's a miserable kind of a situation. Really, it can be very life-altering. So I spoke for about an hour to this group of about 50 people, and this woman was sitting in the audience, and I noticed that she was crying. She cried the whole way through my talk, just kind of silently crying. And when she was done, or when I was done, she came up to me and was talking to me, and I was having a hard time understanding her because she was kind of sobbing, but through her sobs, I understood that she'd had this problem for 19 years, and it was really severe. And she'd seen, I think, 9 different doctors, and they'd all given her the same advice. They'd all said, well, there's nothing that we can do. All you can do is take these medications, and you're never going to get well. And she said she cried every day because the pain was so severe, but she said she was crying in particular that night at that event because listening to me was the first time that any doctor had ever said that there might be some hope for her to get well. And so she came into my office and we started working with her. Now, what we found with her was kind of typical. She had imbalances in the energy. She had lots of trapped emotions. She had a heart wall. Every organ, every gland in her body was imbalanced. She had toxicity of different types. She had nutrition that she needed. She needed a lot of different nutrients her body was desperate for. She had lots of misalignments going on, and she had a number of different kinds of pathogens living in her body. So imagine, I mean, if you've got all those things going on, how in the world are you going to feel very good? Well, you're not, and that's what was going on with her. So using the body code, we started asking her subconscious mind what the problems were, and we started fixing those problems, and it didn't take long. Within about 2 weeks, she was completely free of her discomfort. All that was left was a little bit of discomfort in her thumb on her right hand. She had some arthritis going on in there. But I mean, imagine, totally changed her life. So as time went on, most of the people that came to see me had been told that there really was no hope for them at all, that Western medicine had nothing to offer. Well, what you have to understand is that Western medicine is great at acute problems, right? I mean, if you get run over by a train and your leg is over there, they can probably get that leg in your body to the hospital fast enough, they can probably put your leg back on, reattach it. That's unbelievable, right? It's miraculous what they can do. So Western medicine is great at acute problems, but most things aren't acute problems. Most things like what this woman had been going on for 19 years, medical doctors have surgery that they can do, and sometimes that's necessary. And they have drugs that they can offer, and sometimes those drugs are necessary as well. She'd been trying that. No surgery was really indicated for her, but she'd tried taking all these different medications for 19 years. None of those things had fixed her. Most of the time, medications are just designed to suppress our symptoms. Now, what I want you all to understand is that our symptoms are how the body communicates to us that there is some kind of problem going on. Think about that. So Western medicine, most medications are designed to suppress those symptoms. But in reality, those symptoms are the body's way of telling us that something is wrong. It's a strange phenomenon, and it's kind of like the logic is a little bit beyond me. I mean, imagine if you're driving your car down the freeway and the check engine light comes on, and you pull off the road and you pull into a mechanic, and you sit in the waiting room for a while, and eventually he comes out to talk to you, and he says, listen, we found out what the problem was. He said, your check engine light was on, and so we've disconnected your check engine light, and you're good to go, no charge. What would you say? What would you think? Well, you know, I'm not a mechanic, but I would certainly think that there had to be some other reason, right? There's got to be some other reason why the check engine light come on. But yet, most of Western medicine, or much of it, is devoted to simply suppressing that check engine light so that you don't feel the migraines anymore, or so that your asthma symptoms can be moderated through the use of medication. So anyway, that's what this is about. The body code is about finding these imbalances in these various different areas and correcting them. as rapidly as you can.
Do you know the problems that we're going to have with these kids and these families and these parents down the road from their emotional toll that this does to their body, the trauma that these kids are having on them, or the families?
100%.
What's that?
Yes.
Right. So
population control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Die early. You never get to the point of getting retirement or anything in Social Security fund. What are we going to do? Where's that money go then? Oh, we're not going to talk about that.
They're taking this and they're doing this. This is what how you train this. So when I went there, they trained us how to cure people with MK Ultra. That's what they're using to detach MK Ultra controllers by, is using the body code to figure out where they've been attached to and how they're using them. Because some of these people are 40, 50 years old, they still have a controller. They don't even realize it. You know, like certain things will fire them off in a moment's notice. And they don't even know what's going on. You know, like a police car, for instance, will set someone off to freak out and they don't even understand why, or they'll get dramatically sick or have a seizure, or, you know, all kinds of things go on with it. And then this is what they come up with, because your subconscious mind won't lie. So when you ask yourself questions, or when someone asks you questions, you can ask it. And then there's a series that goes with the body code and things like that. Like there's a chart that goes with it, and there's a series of ways to ask questions and so on. But like if you always have a neck problem, well, that could be because you have this, or this wrong with your leg. You know, like you don't even realize it when this is going on. But the point is that this is a way so people that are victims of such trauma don't just go to the hospital and say, my back hurts, and that's it. Don't just ignore the problems. There's multiple other reasons that you can tell.
So basically, they studied what was called chi in other places and energies of other religions and belief systems, and realized and acknowledged in what we call a Christian nation, or whatever you want to call it, that these things are real. They are fathomable. These are things are possible, and realize the potential of the human body that was discovered by other civilizations. But unless we can put a tag on it and put our flag there and go, we found it first. No, you didn't.
Right.
I'm very familiar with every one of those concepts. I've not seen them packaged exactly that way, but I study herbalism, and a lot of that stuff is used in herbalism. I've been doing trauma body work with essential oils for years. I've been on a health journey that has included a lot of those things.
Well, and a lot of the holistics.
It's all very solid.
Well, the approach is completely different. Instead, I'm sick.
Yeah.
It's no, you're out of balance. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. What's wrong with it? I'm having this. You're out of balance.
Look, emotional baggage is a real thing. When people are like, oh, I got so much baggage. That's a real thing inside your body. Like, you don't even realize it. That could be that thing in your shoulder. It hurts so freaking bad. You know, like, God, why is my shoulder like, my shoulder's been killing
I don't
me
want to know where some of my pains came from. Over there falling like crazy. Oh, yeah, that's all the stuff it comes from. Mm-hmm. That's all that pain in your body. Yeah, no shit.
I know a lot of things. It's fine.
That's it. You got it.
It's true. Well, your body, that book I was saying on the show the other night, is the body keeps the score. Your trauma is stored in your body. It's going to cause issues down the road if you don't address it, for sure. So,
Yep.
You can't lie. That's just like, here's a little trick that a lot of people don't tell you. Did you know that you can never lie to somebody that understands micro expressions?
Yeah.
Your body will tell everything, while your mouth tells whether or not you're lying. Your whole body will tell the whole story whether or not you're actually telling the truth. If not, and you have absolute under that, you're generally considered a psychopath.
What does mine say right now?
I'm trying to figure out what that says about both of you at this point, but it's fine.
Well, not only the fact that you're not at anything, you're looking at the top screen and the other screen. So basically, that's what your body's saying. But because I know how your setup is, looking up and this and that is a creative part, left hand or right. You could take it, that's a creative part of your brain. That's where you're coming up with stories, this, that. When you look off to the left, you can grimace, you can smile, you can tell when somebody's angry, even without even telling anything. I mean, just before they say anything or as they talk, their face and their body will give away exactly how they feel within their psyche. It's all over the body. If you know how to read it. No. It never wins.
We're fine.
But there are people that are naturally inclined to do this, and hence they a lot of fortune tellers and some of those other things were really good at those some things because they would read the body's language and they would go through and fish as they would go through. A lot of gypsies would use some of these different tricks or body languages or a few other things.
So your body code thing is solid. It's basically kind of Chinese-based Ayurveda, Indian medicine type.
Chinese medicine illness, didn't it?
Yeah, a lot of Eastern medicine use all of those concepts. It's basically
absolutely.
Eastern-based. So, and he's right. Western medicine does two things very well. They do emergency medicine really, really well, like acute things, and they do surgery really well. But everything else, they just kind of brush over and they struggle. So, having a well-balanced way of dealing with health issues and trauma is required.
Well, until we can get people to actually respect their constitutional rights, even in the fucking hospital while they're treating things, let alone stealing kids and dosing them and killing them and not giving medicine because you're worried about propaganda, that shit needs to stop. That is not the place for it. Great at emergency medicine, but it didn't do too great for that family in Texas when all they could push or think about was immunizations, all while not giving a kid an antibiotic and withholding it for over 10 minutes, which killed him. That should be that right there because of what happened there. 100%. Everyone involved in that, the CPS worker, the hospital, the nurses, everybody in there, absolutely should be charged with murder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yep. That's murder.
Quite the neglect right there.
There's no way that does it, that it became a no. You didn't respect their rights, and that's all you could focus on was pushing your agenda instead of respecting another person's rights. Their religious rights, let alone they were Mennonites, they knew it. Couldn't get past it.
That's
Love that cardiac cough.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one right there, buddy.
Good one.
All right, guys. Well, let's do some last thoughts, huh? Dr. Death would love another sweet tea. He loves Southern sweet tea.
That's what he says, yeah. I have no idea. I'm very tired tonight, so I guess just take care of yourselves. Definitely do your own research on a lot of these things that we talk about. You can learn all sorts of different things when you go down these rabbit holes. Well, we kind of just skim the top of a lot of this, but there's a lot out there to learn. And I mean, I guess learn something new every day and do your best to take care of yourself.
And remember too that bodies are alike. Just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And there's your journey of learning your own body. Guess they didn't teach that in school.
Uh-huh.
Why would they do that?
I don't.
Learn your constitutional rights. Understand what you're doing, what's going on, with everything through there, and understanding there's a war being waged on you, the individual, you, the child, you, the this and that. They want total control over every aspect of it, within everything, to make it as profitable for them as possible, because they give a shit about human life or the Constitution.
Unless it's their own.
Well, self-preservation, but of course we find out they just sell everything off to another country, and
Yes, sir.
Constitution's coming, baby.
Oh, the Constitution is coming. It is coming. And you know what? Gunner's right. We got a war. This war is getting ready to be fought, and be ready for it, guys. This is a pedal to the metal type deal. Let's get our kids home. That's what we need. We need to get our kids home. Let's focus on that. Let's get healthy, and let's get ready for a fight, because that's exactly what we're bringing to them. Absolutely. I'm the CPS Punisher, and we are out of here. Have a good night, everybody.
Let's go. The world getting crazy, baby, chill. Don't medicate, just meditate. You waking up now, baby, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate. accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate. Separate and segregate, don't celebrate. Quite yet the storm is coming, cue for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate the values of our country. And our gods, what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on the streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour, troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, chose just neglected, deflected by some breaking news. Oh, we just accepted, expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objectives, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the Testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, lying not a sheep. Only kneel to my God, so I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches, I can't take it on the cheap. Nah, drink from a glass half full, I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition, or I'm gonna start resisting and then I pray for forgiveness.
Oh, one day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now. We need you now. We need you now. One day, one day, one day, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far see the truth. God, we